Peace. In this video, I'm going to be speaking about something very serious. So I'm going to start off with reading a quote and then we're going to get into it. This quote is from the book Noir Male by Chief Ya. It says, "This work is for every male who finds himself drowning in a sea of unreasonable expectations, disenchantments, rage, directionless, depression, remorse, identity confusion, desolation, hope, struggle, and personal substantiation. May my sons never know the pain of edging through the world without a ray of direction or sense of belonging. I will labor without end to keep it that way. To all of the young men who view me as a father figure, then that I am, let us build." Our fathers are so valuable. They are so valuable. But sometimes you have women who treat fatherhood as if it's some type of emotional privilege and not a right. I hear a lot of rhetoric in terms of women saying or just saying a lot of things that are so hurtful and so disrespectful towards men, as if, yes, it's a beautiful thing, it's an honorable thing for women to carry children, but the man was a part of creating that child, so they should get as much attention and as much praise and as much honor. A father gives direction, belonging, and structure to a child. You have many women who think that separating or alienating a child or weakening the father is some sort of prize, but the end result is disastrous because you're only harming the child in doing that. This is where the mother love has to be present. I'm not speaking about the role of the mother in this video, I'm speaking about the father. But when it comes to the mother role, she should totally take her emotions and her ego out of what is best for the child. And when we play those sort of games of purposely, if you have a righteous man who wants to raise his family, has a sincere desire to be a part of his children's life, for a woman to use it as a tool of manipulation or power or control is not right. And I believe there is definitely karma and consequences to pay for something like that on a spiritual level. I'm going to just go through the damaging effects of how this harms the child. So a child, in this case, when they don't have the father inside of the home or within their presence, they lose order, they lose identity, they lose structure, they lose lineage, they lose covering. And I'm going to go through those different aspects to share exactly, how that is so. The first one I want to go through is order and covering. And I'll give an example of how a father, gives ordering and covering, and how when that isn't present, it is such a shame. It's just so sad. But I remember I was, raised by both of my parents, and I remember whenever there was chaos, and you're going to have those moments inside of a home where it's just chaos, everything is, whether it's the home is messed up or chaotic, or there's drama going on, or maybe there's emotions. I had a lot of sisters, so there's always a lot of emotions going on. But I remember as a young girl, and I'm speaking about when I was in my pure state. Oftentimes when we are young girls, we're not tainted yet. So there's this natural inclination that we have, and this natural connectedness and special relationship that we have with our fathers. And I know in the moments where I felt scared or was chaotic, I ran to my father. I ran to my father. So if things is chaotic and I'm just oh my goodness, I always went running to him for that protection, for that covering. And I didn't have words for this as a child, but it was instinctual. I knew that for some reason his presence, it was some safety there. Now, when I was when I wanted to be nurtured and I just wanted to bawl my eyes out and I just wanted to be loved on, I gravitated towards my mother for that. But when I was looking for safety, I was looking for some order, I was looking to be protected, I ran to my father. He was the first person that I ran to. So when children don't have that, they grow up feeling unprotected, insecure, unstable. We should never use our children as weapons to get back at the father. We should never use. Let me just put it like this. It's so deep because it's like we're using something that a man created and using that as a weapon to turn back against him. It's so insane. It's so harmful. It's so sad. It's so traumatic. It's like turning something that someone created into a monster, but the intention in which you created wasn't for them to be a monster. It was for them to be brilliant. It was for them to be excellent. And for women to, out of their own anger and out of their own hate and spite, to do that. You know, I'm not speaking about situations where some women may say like, oh, well, the father was harmful, he was abusive. I'm not talking about any of those situations. I'm talking about when you have a righteous man that has a sincere desire to be a part of their children's lives. To use what they created as a weapon back against them is so wrong on so many levels spiritually. So wrong. And I'm going to get into it. I know I'm kind of easing into this one because I know it's a serious topic, but there's so many different angles that I can go with it. All right, so I touched the ordering and the covering. The next part that is affecting the child when the father is not present is identity and lineage. So I'm going to share something deep, very deep. So for me, I've always had a very special relationship, with my father. And I always had a sense of loyalty. So no matter what was happening inside of the homestead, I respected the authority in my home. It was natural for me. This was when I was in my pure state, untainted, like I said. And so anything that was going wrong, anything that I'm just like, oh no, this is a problem, I will go and tell my father. I was very loyal to what was right. And my father, in the way that I view my father, he held the keys to what was right. He held the keys to what was right. And I didn't know that was a part of my true identity until I became older. I had a revelation. I was actually doing an ancestral activation exercise, and Chief actually gave this exercise in his segment on the power of authenticity. And he gave the exercise of ancestor activation, where I shared the activity where you will call on the ancestors in stillness, and you find a quiet place, you light a candle, you close your eyes, you take deep breaths, and you say to your ancestors of my bloodline, those who I've known and not known, I honor you. Guide me to my highest truth. Reveal to me what I have forgot. And then I was to journal, what are the sensations that arise, emotions that arise, and what images that come forth. So the first time I did it, I think I was trying so hard to find something that I just wasn't able to get in a place of stillness. But I came back to it and it hit me. It hit me. I went deep into a meditation, a place of stillness. And I'll say the question again. I said, ancestors of my bloodline, those who I've known and not known, I honor you. Guide me to my highest truth. Reveal to me what I have forgot. Ooh. What I have forgot was how loyal I was to my father, how respectful I was of authority. There was nothing that could shake that. I was so rooted and so firm in that identity. And I was reminded of that during the meditation, that's how strong and connected I should be to the Creator, to my Yah. And it's very rooted in my identity, because I can say that's the one thing that I can stand on and not be moved, not be shaken, not allow anybody to take me away from that is something that I'm very loyal to, which is the truth, which is to that authority. And as I've been cultivating my relationship and deepening my relationship with my creator, the only experience that I can connect that is similar to the relationship that I have with the authority, with the creator, with the Almighty Father, is the relationship that I have with my father, because I was in my purest state in honoring that physical representation of the creator, of that authority. I viewed my father as my hero. I viewed him as the highest of the high as a child. So as an adult, that revelation came to me like, the way that you were so firm and so loyal to the authority, my father represented authority, that's how strong and rooted you need to be in truth and loyal to the laws and obedient to the creator. So that just hit me like a ton of bricks. And identity and lineage is so, and it was an ancestral assignment. So I didn't realize how much lineage and identity and feeling like I was so deeply connected to something. Nothing can touch me in this moment. I'm with my ancestors. That energy that the Father brings is that, and you can feel it. For anybody that has had a relationship with their father, like a great, beautiful relationship, and you remember what it was like when you was a young girl, maybe you can relate to what I'm saying. But it's something that you feel. It's not something that I'm just saying, but it's something that I've experienced, and I'm trying to explain it, the best way that I know how. But I think if you haven't had that experience, it's hard for you to maybe connect and see. That's why I'm sharing examples. It may be hard to see and kind of connect to, like, okay, what's so important about authority, respecting authority. Sometimes that can be a trigger word for some people to hear that, like, no, I got to listen to some sort of authority. No. But there's a beautiful side of authority. To know that something is the authority, that's a part of being covered. That's a part of knowing that you're safe, that you have an authority figure that you can go to, a spiritual authority that you can go to for protection, for covering. And children need to feel that. Children need to feel that so they don't grow up scared. All right. The next one is fathers provide structure and direction. I think about the structure of being trained. Many times when I see, women who lack emotional control, lack discipline, they lack grace and poise. I related to not having structure and that training from their fathers when they were young girls. No man wants to train or try to assist a woman who is not whole, who is not healed. It's a difficult work, and it's the work that our fathers was supposed to do for us as young girls. They were supposed to train us, discipline us, and so that way when we grow up, we have self-control. It's just simple as that. We have self-control. That structure, that training comes from the father. Now, he may give it to the mother so the mother can implement it and assist with that, but that comes from the father because he is the authority. Also, there is every point in a child's life where they're going to be like, why are we doing this, Mom? Why are we doing this? And as a mother myself, I would have those questions like, what is the point? Why am I doing this? Where I need to see direction. So, and of course, the children are going to see direction. Like, okay, we're being told to do this, but why? What is the purpose of this? What does this mean? It comes a point in every woman's life where she starts to see direction from someone. And women don't tend to give the best direction and guidance in life. They give advice, but I've noticed that the advice that is given, it doesn't really address the root cause of a situation. It may be like a temporary fix or something that doesn't really work, but you really get that spiritual direction and like being put, like, let's say you become lost, you're like, man, I don't know what to do in life. The man is who guides you in the direction of getting you back on that path. You know, a spiritual man, a cultivated man, a man of Yah, he has the ability to do that. And many times women do seek that out from different male figures. You can kind of see their mind being, you know, opened, and they're like, wow, whoa, wow. You know, so that is something that women need. That is something that children need. And when they don't have the father in their home, children are not receiving that. They're not receiving that. So when the mother is lost and don't have direction, just kind of like, man, I kind of don't know what to do right now. The child is also going to be affected by that. They're going to model what it is that they see. These are the reasons why a woman should never violate a father's authority. Not good. It is not good. And it's not in the best interest of the child. Young girls need to feel protected. They need to feel covered, especially young girls, because they absorb things and they can be watching something, observing something, and model that person to the T. So just having the presence of the father in the home is automatically giving that young girl a sense of safety, a sense of security, a sense of confidence, a sense of discipline. Even before she can talk and walk, feeling that energetic presence is very, very important. Very, very important. I'll just end here. There is a very, very real connection between the relationship that you have with your biological father in its purest state and your relationship that you have with the Father Creator. There is similarities. If you understand the deepness and the beautifulness and the spiritualness of having that earthly father, and then also seeing the similarities when you are connecting with the spiritual father, you have something you can kind of like make a connection with and say like, okay, I can see, because I respect the earthly father, I'm understanding how to respect the heavenly father, and I'm seeing like how my father interacted with me on the earth is also how the heavenly father interacts with me in the spiritual. It's very, very deep. It is so deep, but you have to have the respect for the father on the planet earth. And your biological father is the purest relationship that you can have with the concept of authority, with the energy of authority. Man, that's where you get your identity from, who you are, your purpose in life. So you have a child that grew up who is not lost in life. Can you imagine that? Growing up and you're not lost. You always on the right path. You know exactly where you're going. You're never lost. Because you have an authority that always brings you back to the right track and making sure that you, like, if you ever stray away, you have someone you can go to for guidance and for direction to get you back. I will, if you got something out of this video, definitely, like the video, comment, share the video. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What was your relationship like with your biological father? Have you made any sort of connections with your father, the relationship that you have with your father, with the relation that you have with the Creator? If you have children, how have you seen, can you share what you see as far as your children's relationship with their father, the boys and the girls, and how does it benefit? How do you see it benefits them? All right, peace.